Hi class, today we're going to learn about space debris. And essentially we know that our solar system formed from this big cloud of gas and dust that collapsed upon itself, and it formed the planets and the sun and the moons. But what we're going to talk about is the leftover stuff. Like if you take a chocolate chip cookie and you put it on the table and you pick it up again, what's left behind? All these crumbs. And that's essentially what space debris is. It's the stuff that didn't become planets or the sun or moons. Okay. You're going to take notes on the very last page of your solar system unit sheet. Right down here at the bottom here, we're going to take notes on comets. Everything should be filled out but that part. So why do we study space debris? We study it because astronomers want to know about how the solar system formed. And if this is leftover stuff from the formation of the solar system, it hasn't changed since the solar system formed. So it's like little time capsules of what the solar system used to be like when it was forming. So great way to learn about it. There's two different types. We're going to talk specifically about comets today, but you need to know that meteors and asteroids are basically made of rock and metal. Asteroids are large, meteors are small, and that is different from what we're going to talk about today when we talk about comets. Another thing, historically speaking, about comets, when people used to see comets, and we're talking about thousands of years ago, they used to think that bad things were going to happen. For example, 2,000 years ago, Nero saw a comet, and he had half of the city of Rome burned and all his family killed to prevent bad things from happening. But that was 2,000 years ago, and you would never do that today. If we move further into the current time, about 1,500 years ago, the Incas in South America saw a comet, and they had human sacrifices to prevent bad things from happening. But again, 1,500 years ago. 100 years ago, scientists predicted that the Earth was going to pass through the tail of a comet in its orbit, and they thought the tail was made of cyanide gas, so that people were going to die when that happened. So people bought comet pills and gas masks, and they put towels underneath their doors, and they even committed suicide to avoid the horror of being poisoned by a comet. That was 100 years ago. In 1996, there was a group in Los Angeles called Heaven's Gate. There was this comet that was coming by called Hale-Bopp, and they thought it was an alien spacecraft. And it was coming by Earth to take anyone on Earth on a trip through the cosmos. And the only way you could travel is to abandon your human form and travel in the form of light. So in 1996, in Los Angeles, 21 people committed suicide to travel on this comet. So one of the reasons why you're in an earth science class is so you have enough knowledge to not make decisions like that in the future. Okay, let's learn more specifics about comets. All right, here we go. Fill in the blanks on your paper as we get through this. The parts of a comet, there are three parts. The first part, and the one that everybody can seem to name, is the tail of a comet. The tail of a comet is caused when when the comet gets close enough to the sun in its orbit that it heats up the ices in the comet. They melt, and then they stream away behind it. The sun's solar wind pushes that material out behind it so that it always points away from the comet. No matter where the comet is in its orbit, it's pointing away from the sun. The coma, which is kind of like an atmosphere that is formed also when the comet is heated up by the sun. The last part here, this is the nucleus of the comet. And you might think of it like this. Somebody hits you with a snowball, and you go to hit them with a snowball, but you go on the gravel driveway and you scoop one up, okay? So that's what basically a comet is made of. It's made mostly of ice, but it does have some rock, and it does have some frozen gases making up some of that ice. So the nucleus of a comet, that's the actual comet. Make sure all that information gets on your worksheet, all labeled and filled in there. Cool. So comets, they move in a very specific way, and they're located in very specific areas in our solar system. They move in what's called an ellipse. An ellipse is like a circle that has been squished. So it's long and narrow, but not like an oval where it's fat at one end and narrow at the other. Not like that, no. And a comet will reappear in our solar system over time. So it's a fixed time that it returns. Is called the comet's period. And we have two types of comets. We have a short period comet. They take less than 200 years to reappear. That's like Halley's Comet and Comet Encke, which only takes 3 years. And they come from a disk area out beyond the orbit of Neptune, and this is called the Kuiper Belt. That's actually where Pluto's at. And also, we have another type. It's called long period comets, and they take greater than 200 years to reappear. This is like Comet Hale-Bopp, the one that came by in 1996, and Comet West. Its period is 25,000 years, so we're not going to see that one again. It came in by 1975. But they come from the Oort cloud, this huge sphere surrounding our solar system that might contain trillions of comets. So this is your basic knowledge about comets. Make sure you get all that information. You're going to do an assignment on comets. This guy right here, and everything that you need to do this is actually on the paper. So you don't need the internet, you don't need a textbook, you just need this thing.